Welcome to Pulse of Tech by SEAP, Pune's leading technology podcast from SEAP, the city's premier platform for tech organizations, delivering cutting-edge discussions and insights.
Today, we are talking to a man who ranked 14th in IIT JEE without joining a single coaching class or compromising on 8 hours of sleep. He's a man rest of us wanted to be in class 12th and still want to be in the boardroom. He's a CTO who believes that people should be hired for what they can do and not where they have studied from. Let's welcome Dr. Navin Kabra. So good morning, Navin.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, glad to be here.
So you have done your PhD from University of Wisconsin at Madison,
Yeah.
right? And after that worked for massive MNCs like Teradata and Symantec. Also seen like the .com failure, then the successful exit.
Yeah.
So when you were doing your PhD now,
Yeah.
what is the one thing which the PhD doesn't prepare you for?
The one thing that my PhD didn't prepare me for was the importance of sales. Okay. In a PhD, you just focus so much on the technical merit of what you are doing that you forget that in the real world, technical merit is a very small part of doing something successfully, right? It's like maybe 15-20%. The rest of it is sales and marketing and networks and relationships and so on, right? Later on, I also realized that all those things I was supposed to be learning during my PhD also. Even in a PhD, you need to learn how to sell your idea and so on. But I guess
That
somehow,
actual sales part of it, right?
yeah, but somehow I didn't do that and still managed to get through. That was my fault. But it took me a long time to realize the importance of these things.
Fair point. You have done your PhD in query optimizations for object relational database systems,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now we know that now the world is moving towards data lakes, big data.
Yeah.
So like back then, those scalable ORDBMS
Yeah.
systems, right?
Yeah.
What is the fundamental lesson from the 90s which still holds good?
So I want to tell you the story of how I got into databases, right?
Okay.
I graduated from IIT Bombay, and most of us from the computer science class who graduated, we left with the impression that databases are boring, 60s technology, all the exciting stuff is happening in programming languages and networks and things like that, right? When I landed up in Wisconsin, there I found out that Wisconsin is probably number 1 or number 2 in the world for databases. And they pitched us, all the new students who had joined, that you should be in databases. And I said, it sounds boring. So I will always remember that speech they gave at that time to point out why databases are important, in the sense that data is at the core of everything you do, right? And to be able to handle everybody's data well, you pretty much have to solve all problems that the other fields have to solve, plus you have your own problems that none of the other fields have. And for regular day-to-day use, you don't have that much data, so you don't realize the importance of these things. But beyond a certain scale, when a company gets big enough, the amount of data they have is so large that it is a big deal to just manage it.
Okay.
Conversely, what they pointed out is that this is important and long term, right? Your user interface changes, your language which you are using changes, whom you are talking to changes. But the data, once captured, stays like that forever, and it does not change very easily, right? So data is at the core of everything you do. Now, this was in the 90s. Okay, so even Oracle was like a small company at that time, and AI didn't really exist as an important thing, right? So over the
Was
years,
in the movies.
Yeah, over the years, the importance of data has just increased, right? AI has added significantly more importance to the data. The internet has caused thousands or maybe millions of times more data to be captured. And even today, it remains true, right? I forgot who said this, but it's a great quote. He said that, show me your program and it'll take me a while to understand what you're doing and all of that, right? But show me your data
and I'll figure out.
And I'll figure out what your program is doing. I will know. I don't even need to look at it, right?
And I mean, in today's world of AI, generative AI solutions and everything, the more contextual, the more matured kind of a data an LLM or a model is trained on, the better kind of an information it will be able to deduce or generate as
absolutely,
well. Right?
Absolutely. Making your data available to the AI at the right time is one of the most important, most difficult skills to learn these days, right? Prompt engineering is not really that important. Knowing what data to give it is more important.
I might be jumping topics.
Sure.
The reason is that when I went through your profile, the kind of or the diversity of your career profiles, right?
Yeah.
I thought if I have to cover everything, it would look like an interrogation. So sorry if it does, right? I don't want it to be looking like an interrogation, but I might skip topics, jump topics.
No, I'm happy to answer because what I have always done is optimize for interesting.
You hold like 18 US patents, right?
Yeah.
And actually, I mean, I wanted to ask which one out of these actually changed the way you think about software architecture rather than just a legal milestone?
You're not going to like the answer, okay? The answer is 0, none of them, okay? Software patents are mostly useless, okay? Basically, the problem is that patents have been created to protect designs of machines, right?
Okay.
And like an actual, mechanical machine, if you come up with a new way for cutting nails, right? Then people shouldn't be able to just look at your nail cutter, manufacture a copy and make money from your invention, right? And that same thing when it extended to say the pharmaceutical industry, it still makes sense. You patent a molecule and that has value. You prevent other people, you patent the statin for reducing cholesterol, right?
Correct.
So as long as you have a patent on it, nobody else can manufacture it and it is solving a real problem and you get a lot of money. The day your patent expires, huge number of companies in Gujarat start manufacturing copies and the price falls by maybe 100x, right? In software, I've never heard of anybody being able to prevent someone else from doing something, right? Google's patent on PageRank for their search engine is like one of the most famous software patents, okay? Didn't stop anyone from creating competing search engines, right? Correct. Anyway, coming back to my original point, software patents are not really useful, right? So why are so many companies spending so much money on software patents? It's just because of the weird legal system that gives so much importance to these things, right? What happens is that when you have two big companies like Veritas, which makes some storage software, and then one year Microsoft enters that market. So now one of them will sue the other because they're threatened by each other.
In the same area.
And then when that happens, the lawyers get together, this side says, okay, here is the list of all the patents I have in this area. The other side will have a similar big list of patents. This will literally be in the hundreds. And to some extent, by the kilo, they will look at who has more kilos of patents and the settlement will be based on that, right? So, if in something like this, if you see there are hundreds of patents, you can see how much value each patent has, right? And that's what we also did when our patents, when my PhD project was acquired by Teradata, execs from Teradata flew over one day and they said, okay, one afternoon we went, sat by the lake, ordered beer, all of us, everyone is drinking beers, and we said, okay, fine, today we have to file patents. And everyone came and made lists of things that we will find patents on based on our work. And that for me personally resulted in about 7-8 ideas, of which 5 are patents.
There is one more interesting fact which I have, which is basically you got a fake paper published to expose the flaw in the academia conference system,
Yes,
right?
yes.
What does it tells you for the innovation quotient right now in academia?
See, what it tells me is that the incentives in academia are quite screwed up, right? And as long as the incentives are screwed up, you will see bad behavior like this, right? Let me explain my fake paper. So this was, I think, around 2012 or something like that. A bunch of students doing their final year BE projects, I was advising them, and they said that, oh, our BE project we want to publish as a paper. And I said, no, a paper is something substantial. You have to have done research. A BE project can't become a paper. And they said, no, it's a requirement from the college. Okay. It seemed bizarre to me, but when I looked into it, it was really a requirement by the college, because it was a requirement by the university saying that everybody has to publish a paper, and those who can't publish a paper have to submit a rejection note.
So you have to submit your...
Yeah, this was at least true in those days, okay? It is still true for, I think, master's students and so on, okay? Now, so I said, fine, I mean, if it's a requirement, go ahead, do what you want, right? And a couple of weeks later, they came back and said, yes, our paper has gotten accepted. Yeah. At that time, I knew that this conference has to be fake. Right? So I said, fine, I have to look into this. So next time that similar conference came back to Pune, I decided to submit a fake paper. Okay, it was a completely made up bullshit paper. Anybody who read the abstract would know that this is bullshit, right? Because Thakur Baldev Singh was a co-author, and I had dialogues from Sholay in that. Basanti shows up, and that got accepted. Okay, and then they said, oh, just we need your money, we need you to pay this fee for publishing it. And I could haggle with them like a vegetable vendor, saying, no, I can't pay 6,000, will you take 3,000, and so on, right? Now, this is what the conference was doing. Clearly, it was a fake conference. And when we exposed this, I got reporters to write articles about this, and then it became big news, and the VC of the university got involved, and so on, right? To a large extent, academia, forget fake papers, which happen a lot in India, right? Even in serious conferences and serious papers all over the world, getting something published remains an important measure. You don't get tenure unless you have
something published.
So many publications.
Correct.
So that entire field is rife with bad behavior because of these incentives.
Got it. So, now we were talking about fake papers and everything, and that brings me to your current venture, which is Reliscore, right? And I can call the term, I don't know if the term says paper tigers, right?
Where, absolutely.
Where a candidate with a perfect resume will not be able to write one script also, is what you also feel, right?
Exactly.
And what is the core philosophy of Reliscore?
So, what you said, paper tigers, right? As in, this was a time when our previous startup had just died, and we were looking for ideas on what to do. And we realized that a lot of our friends were struggling with hiring. And the biggest problem was that candidates with excellent resumes, right? And they had all kinds of things there, has done so much work in Java and all that. And when they come to the interview, they know nothing. Right? So clearly that entire resume was fake, and their entire filtering process, which looked as keywords in your resume and things like that, wasn't working.
Okay.
So, the original idea was that if as a candidate you are claiming to have so and so skills on the resume, our platform will say, okay, prove it. If you say that you know 5 years of, you have 5 years of experience in Java and J2EE, as soon as you do that, there will be, okay, verify the skill, click on it. It will ask you to write programs in Java. It will ask you questions about J2EE. And if you are able to answer that, then that skill gets verified, right? Okay. The model changed slightly, but fundamentally that's what it boiled down to. We switched to focusing on companies instead of candidates. But the idea was that if they're trying to hire for a particular role, they make a list of skills. Based on that, we create a test, online test, where the focus isn't to check whether they remember things, right? The focus, this is not supposed to be like an engineering exam. This is supposed to be a check of your real world skills. Can you do the kind of work that you would be expected to do on the job, right? So if you're being hired as a developer, can you write programs? We built a platform where whatever they are doing, the system is able to automatically evaluate the quality of the answer, right? So that was the core, that instead of just looking at what is claimed on the resume, and instead of just looking at credentials, and instead of just asking them questions for which they have memorized answers. Like, I don't know, many people here will be familiar with the fact that if you ask students the difference between a B tree and a B plus tree, they can speak for 5 minutes because they have memorized that answer for college, right? But if you ask them...
Tell them to implement something on that.
Nothing, right? Exactly. Right. So that was the core idea.
But that actually brings me to a very important point, that coding becoming a commodity, right? And in this era of 2026, when generative AI is doing most of the coding, or vibe coding has become very popular, what would be an engineer's value in 2026?
Okay, that's a tough question, right? Because the field is changing so fast, we have no idea how good AI will get. We have no idea where the ceiling is, right? So it's difficult to tell what things remain valuable and what things don't, right? But so far, what I'm seeing at the cutting edge of AI is that AI agents are able to write a lot of code. AI agents can even write tests. AI agents can run the tests and so on, right? But what the AI agents are missing is the big picture, right? They can get something working right now. They can't think in terms of what would it take for this to be maintainable for the next 5 years.
But that's context, right? And at some point of time,
right?
So I know the contextual windows are limited for now, but it would become, it is growing.
See, it's not just a context problem of contextual window being small. Okay, it's also a problem of you not having given that context to the agent, right?
Correct.
So when you tell the agent that I write me an app to do X, Y, Z, okay, do you understand all the requirements clearly? You probably do. If you don't, you're a junior person who don't understand all the requirements, you don't understand that if customer asked for X, even the customer usually doesn't know. You as an experienced person would know that customer asked for X, but really they need X, Y, Z. And
consulting basically.
Some of that, right? Or just forget it. Customer has no idea that these 3 things you have to take care of in the long term. You know that from experience, right? All of these things you have to put in the requirements. The customer won't give you the requirements, and if you don't put it in the requirements, the agent is not necessarily going to
so problem solving is more important. If I have to summarize it, like, I don't know if I can.
Problem solving, knowing what problems to solve, right? Having the domain knowledge of knowing that these things need to be taken care of, which the AI probably will not, right? And that comes from experience. That a word that I hear a lot is having taste, right? Whatever you tell the AI to implement, it will implement. So you have to know what to tell it to implement, right? But I mean, the engineers at the cutting edge that I know right now, most of them have stopped writing any code. All the code is being written by the agent, but they're still busy because what they're doing is that they're managing teams of agents, right? So even individual contributors in some sense have become managers, that you know that for the initial plan, you should be using Claude Code Opus 4.6, but then for the grunt implementation, you should be using Codex CLI, and then when everything is in place, you should use anti-gravity to improve the UI.
Yeah, so you spent like years in US, then moved back to Pune. What was the market gap which you saw in India that made you build punetech.com?
Yeah. When I moved back from the US, I was under the impression that in India only boring work happens, right? All the cool work is in the US and the grunt work is moved to India. So, but after I joined Veritas, I
Lot of us
realized.
still think that.
But when I joined Veritas, I realized that these people are doing a lot of cool things, right? That's the first thing I realized. After a little while, I realized that there are many different teams all doing cool things, and even people inside Veritas, one team doesn't know about the cool things happening in the rest of the company, right? So I thought, okay, that's like interesting, and why don't I just write an internal newsletter about it, right? So I would just go to a team, talk to them about what are the cool things you are doing, and write on that internal newsletter, right? And that newsletter became very popular because people found this to be very useful, or at least inspiring and exciting, okay? Then at some point I quit Veritas, and when I got out, I realized that the exact same problem exists at the Pune level, right? There are lots of pockets where very interesting things are happening in Pune and almost nobody knows about it. So I said, why don't I recreate the same thing at a Pune level? So that's how Pune Tech was born. And at the core, that's all I was doing. Either I would go to some company that I thought was interesting, find out what they're working on, write an article about them, or get one of them to come and give a talk, right? And again, unexpectedly, it got very popular and became one of the biggest tech communities in Pune for a while. So basically, that was the...
I mean, our idea of doing this podcast is also the same, right?
Right, exactly. Right.
So, SEAP as an organization, or let's say a community, which we are trying to basically build, is to share ideas, talk to industry leaders, talk to visionaries who can explain us more about their journey, and that's how we learn, we get inspired, and maybe...
Exactly,
Okay.
Right. So this is a great thing you're doing. I mean, we need more of this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, you have been connected to Pune Connect as well from SEAP, right?
Yes, yeah.
And
so Pune Connect was a joint, I would call it initiative between Pune Tech and SEAP, right? Because that was the time that Gaurav Mehra had just become president of SEAP, and he was interested in startups. We were in Pune, and we were interested in showcasing the startups of Pune. So we said, why don't we create, an yearly event, which is essentially a startup competition. That way, again, you can think of it, you can see how it ties into exactly what Pune Tech was trying to do, which is that, popularize the interesting work that is going on in Pune.
Okay. And I mean, I had read that you have advised numerous startups through Nidhi EIR as well.
Yeah.
So, what was the most... So, a thought came to my mind, like everybody is running behind this startup kind of a war, let's call it, right?
Yeah.
What is the most common innovation trap which you would want to emphasize on to like our listeners as well?
Yeah. So I think, this is the same thing that the trap I fell into during my PhD when I told you, right? Which is that focusing too much on the technical stuff and not focusing on the sales. All startups, first-time startups, right? Not all, but a very large fraction of them, they think that if they have a good idea technically, then that's enough. Like if you make it, if you build it, they will come. But that's not how the world works, right? You have to go and sell. You have to go and talk to potential customers. And one of the first things you realize when you talk to potential customers is that you thought that they would love this solution, that this is an important problem they're trying to solve, but in reality, their problems are very different. Often their problems are much simpler. You are so enamored with innovation and trying to come up with a cool solution for something, you forget the fact that those people, they just need the basics many times, right? So talking to customers even before you do your innovation. I mean, sure, do some innovation if you want, but
user research is
user
the most
research,
important.
right? And user research doesn't have to be something fancy and MBA and all that. Just find potential customers, make a mock-up of your product, right? Or just a presentation saying that this is what we are planning to do. If we succeed in making it, will you buy it?
Yeah.
Just ask this to 20 customers and 15 should say yes.
Common theme. I mean, I was talking to somebody in our previous episodes,
Yeah.
and they had the similar thought process that solving a small customer problem is the biggest thing which you can do when you are trying to innovate something, right?
Yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Yeah.
One important point which I wanted to talk to you and very interesting was your platform project like nobadtouch.com, right? About child safety initiative.
Yeah.
How did you decide that non-tech societal problems deserve a tech-minded solution first of all?
See, I mean, it just is a continuation of my Pune Tech experience, right? I mean, if you look at what happened with Pune Tech, was that I first noticed that there is some information that people are not aware of, right? And that if they knew that, that would be good for them, right?
Okay.
And I found that creating a blog around it worked very well, okay, unexpectedly well. So this was, 2008-9 onwards. This was the era of blogging. I mean, more and more people were realizing that blogs are powerful, right? And that's when, I was friends with Dr. Bhushan Shukla, and he had come up with this method for, again, I saw the same pattern there, that this is information which should be widely known. It will really help people if they know it, but how do you get the word out, right? I mean, at that time, I was doing a lot of blogs, right? I had created Pune Tech, I had created Smriti.com, my website for Hindi song lyrics. I had created Vogma.com, my wife's website for Hindi movie reviews. So I was like, a hammer in search of a nail. So I said, okay, this looks like a worthwhile thing. This should be known to more people. Let's make a website around it, right?
Okay. And I mean, Navin, you are through Future IQ, right? You are also teaching cryptography and game theory to high schoolers, right?
Yeah.
What are you? I mean, what is your idea behind it? I mean, if you want to just talk about it for a while.
So just a clarification, I mean, Future IQ is my YouTube channel where I talk about interesting concepts that everybody should know, but they don't. Again, you can see the pattern, right? But that's not targeted towards high school kids. It's like pretty much anybody. So, I know listeners from kids all the way to grandparents.
Okay.
What you were talking about, the high school kids, that is something I do with a company called GenWise, okay? And that's a very interesting concept. Basically what GenWise does, GenWise says that take our smart children, okay? And by smart, let me have a very simple definition of those who are doing well academically, right? Who are in the top 2% of their class. Now these kids are getting bored in school. Because what school teaches them is just not challenging enough, right? And school is not able to give them more interesting things to do. So GenWise asked the question, can we do something for these kids? And the most important thing GenWise does is they have a summer camp, 3 weeks of residential camp where the kids are taught some advanced subject, right? And GenWise, either they'll catch university professors who have holidays during the summer or people from industry who are interested in teaching. And that's how they approached me.
Okay.
I have always liked the idea of teaching, right? Even during my undergraduate, I ended up, the 4 or 5 other computer science students in my hostel, I ended up teaching them just before every exam. And even later, people keep asking me, why don't you become a prof somewhere? And I always felt that teaching in a class where the students are there because they need that class to graduate,
Yeah.
and they're there, they want to get marks, is a very sad experience. Okay, they are there to get marks, they are not interested in the subject. It is frustrating. But, and so I never taught, even though I have an interest in teaching. And then when GenWise happened, I realized this is great because all the students who come to GenWise are there because they want to learn. One thing GenWise says is this is not going to help you crack any entrance exam, right? So already people who are there for marks get cut out. So now you have a bunch of bright students who are actually interested in learning, and what we realized, I've worked with them since 2019, and what we realize is that anything you want to teach them, they're hungry, they're interested, and it's a great experience to teach them, right? So I have taught them cryptography and code breaking.
Yeah, there is what I have, the defense against the dark arts.
That also. So there's cryptography and code breaking is different. I've also taught blockchain and cryptocurrency.
Okay.
I've taught game theory from economics.
Correct.
And defense against the dark arts was basically how do you fight misinformation, right? People are talking about there is so much misinformation out there, we should teach our kids how to insulate themselves against that. So I thought that's a good thing to teach. So that I did.
That's also a topic there.
That's also a topic. And then last 3 years I've been teaching an intro to AI and machine learning course. So that's the basic idea there.
Cool. So this is my last section, which I usually try to cover about Pune, right?
Sure.
And you already spoke about your interest in academia and stuff like that. So Pune is known as the Oxford of the East, right?
Yeah.
And what is the academic and I mean this academic heritage has shaped specific type of culture in Pune.
Yeah.
What is the edge you think Pune has over other cities like suppose Bangalore, Hyderabad?
Sure, yeah. So I'll give two answers. First the academic one and then the broader tech answer, right? In academia, I mean, today Oxford of the East might be a little bit of an exaggeration, right? I mean, we don't have an IIT, we don't have an IIM, and that's because politically Pune is in the shadow of Bombay. We are not a capital city. But our heritage has ensured that we have a lot of tier 2 colleges as far as engineering is concerned, right? And so that gives a scale. So, after Bangalore, if anybody wants to expand and they need to hire a lot of people with skills and talent, Pune is always a destination for them, right? So that is really good for Pune. The other thing is that if you go beyond just engineering and MBA, then suddenly Pune starts looking better, right? Because there are so many world-class institutes in Pune. So, for example, there is ISER Pune, which is ISERs are like IITs, except that they are for pure sciences, right?
Yes.
So I would say same level as IITs, but they are newer, so better.
The first time I heard about ISER was when I came to Pune.
Yeah.
Like 13, 14 years
But
back.
they have better facilities and younger faculty. So, better than IIT, I would say. And ISER Pune is the number one ISER in the country. We have NCL, which is one of the top chemical labs in the country. We have the Agarkar Institute, which is great at agriculture. We have Gokhale Institute for economics. And you go down that list, there will be a whole bunch of things, right? If you broaden beyond just education, then Pune starts looking even better, right? Because unlike some of the other places, Pune has the combination of software as well as core engineering, right? We are probably number one in the auto industry, right? We have a lot of manufacturing. We have so much banking, right? Almost every big bank in the world has a center in Pune. Let's take engineering design, right? CAD, CAM, etc., that kind of stuff. All the top companies in the world, like, whatever CATIA and ANSYS and AutoCAD and so on, everyone has a center in Pune. There is no other city in the world where all the top design companies have a center in the same city, right? So what it can allow Pune to do is to have this mix where software and hardware and manufacturing and a whole bunch of things can come together, right? Okay. Now, until say last year, India's story was a story of software just running ahead of everyone else. Manufacturing and all the other sectors were kind of lagging. But with AI, suddenly the importance of software is going to go down. And the importance of the core engineering sectors is going to go up. Correct. And then suddenly Pune will start shining even more. Right? And to top it all off, Pune is a lovely city to stay, quality of life. Yeah, I mean, of course, everybody likes to complain, but if you're complaining about the traffic here, just go to Bangalore once and you will stop complaining. Yeah. So
that was the next question to you. So something fun or your best memory of Pune, like food, anything you can talk about, whatever.
See, my best memories of Pune have to do with the communities, right? Yes. And the people. So, I mean, Santosh Daura and Anjali Gupta had started Pune Open Coffee Club, yes, which was, a community for startups in Pune. And that was lovely. We were associated with that for a very long time, made a lot of friends. Around the same time frame, like I said, blogging was a thing. So we used to have blogger meets, and some of those people are still friends today.
Navin reminds us that the code might be global, but the input is often local. From the high-stakes world of US-based patterns to the Pune startup tech ecosystem, the ultimate innovation quotient lies not in the lines of code you write, but the depth of the community you build. See you in the next episode of Pulse of Tech by SEAP.